I know Senator Roberts touched on this earlier, but he mentioned the deployment of some equipment, and I think he was referring to an LRAD machine, and I've been provided with this photograph, which I'm happy to table electronically, of course, from a distance. It does appear to show the deployment of an LRAD machine, a long-range acoustic device, I think it's called, which is a device designed to pitch sound at long range and can cause some pretty serious injuries. You can't confirm, even given that photo, that device was deployed on the day?
Senator Ranchik, I just want to interrupt here to make it clear that this question has already been taken on notice.
I understand that, but just with the benefit of having had that photograph, which tends to confirm it, we still can't confirm that device was there on the day?
Yeah, I think to be proper, I'd like to take that on notice.
All right, so we'll ask that one on whether it was used on the day.
Senator Ranchik, I'm sorry, we are going to have to...
I have one more question, Chair, and it's a very quick one.
Make a very quick one.
Very quick one. My last question is, there were some reports on the day of some interference with the bandwidth, citizen journalists talking about losing footage dropping out. Is that anything you're aware of? Is that anything the AFP was involved with? And do you know anything about that?
No, the only thing I'd heard was that they'd moved to another campsite where there was no internet, and then they moved on, but not that. I think to be proper, I'd like to take that on notice.
Well, Australia really wants that trophy. They want to make sure that they remain in first place as the world's #1 COVID tyranny zone instead of Canada. Mark Aldridge is an Australian civil rights campaigner. He's been here before, and he's been demanding now that the Governor-General, the Queen's representative in Australia, just dismiss the nation's parliament for repeated breaches of the Constitution. Sounds like a wonderful idea. Australia's founding laws bar the state from imposing forcible medical procedures, but that's exactly what they're doing. Does it sound familiar? The Governor-General isn't acting, though. Of course not. So instead, Aldridge joined this massive protest effort in the capital city of Canberra. Protests started in Sydney, though, and to get there, Mark had to drive almost 750 miles over 2 days because he can't fly, of course, due to COVID restrictions. It's for his own health and safety. But from Sydney, they convoyed to meet 200,000 other vehicles in Canberra. Mark says that over the rest of the week, the protest only grew. He estimates that 1.2 million people participated, which would be almost 5% of the entire country. These were actual peaceful protesters. Not a violent mob there to loot and kill people. We can't have that. That won't be tolerated. So, of course, the police actually brought out everything they could to stop them. As Dr. Jane Ruby said, they deployed big acoustic box weapons to use as long-distance weapons, sending people to the hospital. Mark says that he felt unwell, as did many other people. By the way, much like Canada in these convoys, there were children at this protest. But no big deal. Just attack them with sonic weaponry. And it didn't end there. Of course, Mark said that he saw police harassing vehicles simply for having the wrong bumper stickers, saying things like, no more mandates on them. Can't have that. Oh, or for having the Australian flag. That'll get you in trouble with the police as well in Australia. But of course, police aren't the only problem. Canberra's a lot like Ottawa or Washington, D.C. When you're a national capital, you get infiltrated with absolutely psychotic and insane local liberals. Some of those deranged people in Australia are going rogue and ramming protesters with their cars. But here's the brilliant part, though. The police and these wild and deranged counter-protesters don't really know what to do. This is organic. This is a decentralized protest by potentially millions of Australians. There's no group. There's no specific leadership to decapitate. Just a bunch of people gathered to demand an end to these communist mandates. Police, the government, they don't know what to do. They can't arrest 1.2 million people or even 1/100th of that number. They just have to hope the protesters go home. Well, luckily for all of us, there's no plans to do that until these satanic mandates go away. Mark Aldridge joins us now. Mark, thank you for coming.
Good morning, Stu.
I was watching some testimony before a senator and an inquisitive line of questioning happening where a representative of the Australian police said that there were only 10,000 people at this event.
Oh, look, we had numbers that would have approached 1.2 million. We know that the federal police told me that there was about 1.2 million extra vehicles in Canberra. The line of vehicles trying to get in on Friday night before the rally extended about 80 kilometres and blocked the main freeways into Canberra in both directions. So it was a massive task and a massive journey for a lot of people. Some people came from the other side of Australia, which was about 52 hours of driving, and they can't go home. So the protesters now, a lot of their protesters are kind of like political prisoners in Canberra at the moment.
Mark, all these people that are reporting these burns and other conditions as a result of what we now can confirm was this device that was used against its own people, would you consider this to be the Australian government subtly declaring war on its own population?
That's how most people thought at the rally. There would seem to be two different things. There seemed to be burns and there seemed to be headaches, and a few people have gone into hospital over there that I know are very sane people with all sorts of mental health issues as a result. So quite frightening, and we were quite taken back to see them set up early before the rally started on vehicles and at Parliament House, as you may have seen.
So what's going to happen now? Are citizens just going to buckle and go away? Are 1.2 million people going to say, well, we gave it our best shot?
Some people have gone home to work. Others have gone and joined. The numbers there now will just be in a few 100,000. But, of course, federal police went in and shut down the camping sites that we had. We've had to talk to farmers and use farmers' land. There was a quick court challenge to make sure we could continue to stay in some of those locations. The police have been picking off people if they go out for supplies. So it's not going away. The federal parliament should be well aware of what's going on here. And they're staying until the mandate's drop, and that's it, 100%.
Well, so, I mean, realistically, you're there. I'm not. You know, we're on the other side of the world, quite literally. How is this going to end?
Oh, look, I'm not really sure. We made a call to the governor, which is one of the avenues we have here. The governor's now left and gone overseas.
Why? Why would they go overseas when this is happening in their country?
I don't know. There'd be a caretaker put in. We've approached the caretaker. We've looked at, they're trying to change the laws in Canberra to get rid of us. So they're bringing in a compulsory jab law in Canberra, which comes into effect on the 28th of February. We're looking at putting an injunction in to stop that. It's like a war. As you said, it feels like a war. It looks like a war. So therefore it is. But
this is global. I mean, it's not just a war in Australia. This is happening in Canada as well. They're arresting the leaders of the truck convoy there. And those numbers seem to be only growing. Now, the mainstream media here is reporting that what's happening in Canada is that truckers are starting to leave, when in fact we have sources on the ground saying quite the opposite, that more people, not only in trucks, but in their cars and their SUVs and their station wagons and their campers, are on the way there, and that the numbers are actually growing. Now, in Australia, we have some representative of the federal police saying there were only 10,000 people there, whereas you're saying that representatives of the same police force that was on the ground there are saying that it's 1.2 million. So where does this go? I mean, this is being forced into what seems to be a fatal funnel of information as the information war only accelerates. And this is nothing but lies coming from the governments of countries all over the globe.
I think, look, I think the people of the world have had enough. I mean, our country has. Most of the people of these things are just families. They're doctors, they're nurses, they're all sorts of professionals were there. I mean, these people just want their jobs back. These people want their lives back. These people want to protect their children, which is a very, very high on the agenda for all Australians at the moment. And I don't think that what the federals know what to do. We've got a looming federal election. They must be frightened by that. And so I'm not sure what the moves will be next, but we do have constitutional protections. The federal government are ignoring that, and the people are demanding it. So I think the only thing that
what
goes
happens
against us...
Go ahead, finish your sentence. I want to hear what you're going to say.
The only thing that goes against us a bit is, as you said, it's very organic. So we don't have kind of leadership for the police to target, which is one good thing. But, of course, we're not getting a strong voice across exactly what we want at sometimes.
So when you can't get to a negotiating table with a government, which I don't know what that would accomplish anyhow, because these people have clearly indicated that they're not willing to negotiate. And at this point, I don't think that the people should be willing to negotiate either. And so when the Constitution is being completely ignored, the founding documents in your country, in Canada, and here seemingly in the United States as well, and when these people won't come to the table and you have a hard line and people are trying to protect their kids and the government is signaling, we don't care about your kids because we will use sonic weapons against your kids. In Canada, the Prime Minister and the police are saying, get your kids out of there. This is your final warning before we come in there and mess you all up. I mean, they're threatening force, and they're saying that if your kids are there, hey, they're going to get it too. So get them out of there. They don't care about the kids. They don't care about anything. What is going to be done? I mean, I'm really curious here what you think on this.
I think, look, the thing is numbers will just continue to grow. The day the police step in and take more physical violence in Canberra, I think they're in big trouble. I think it'll be a bad mistake from the Parliament to do that. The numbers are continuing to grow over there. People are heading back. So, excuse me, someone like me, I've got about an 18-hour drive to get there, which is 2 days. Other states like Queensland and Victoria can be there in half a day. So, to be totally honest, they're just pushing a barrow. There's another major event coming up in about 2 weeks' time. We expect the numbers to be double. And look, to be totally honest, if we have to, we'll just completely blockade the capital, and there won't be a person be able to get in and out or get to work at all. And if we have to do that, that's what's going to happen. And I don't think that anyone in Australia is willing to back down, even those that have been coerced. So the people that have been coerced to have the couple of jabs to keep their job, they're backing us as well. So it's half the country. I mean, absolutely half the country have had enough.
Yeah, and what they're trying to do is broadcast that the crowd size is limited to keep people like you from driving the 18 hours or 2 days to get there because they think that this is something that's just fizzling out, when in fact it's completely opposite. And the people are the majority and the government is out of options. The only thing they have left is the naked language of force. And that's really scary. Mark Aldridge from Down Under, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. God bless you.
Well, best for you too, mate. Thank you for helping us.
And here we see some of the evidence where it looks like this woman has been either sunburned or, her face is incredibly swollen. It's almost like, when you see someone who's allergic to bees be stung by a bee and their whole face swells up to where she can almost not open her eyes. And this was at 9 p.m. 2 days after Canberra. So the lingering effects of this acoustic weapon. There's also in this thread by Kathy Fox blog on Twitter at Kathy Fox. They have a EMF reader, an electric magnetic field reader there at the event measuring the effects of this LRAD device. And they actually have the images of the people they call the criminals using torture weapons on LRAD is what they're called, or DEW, directed energy weapons, and they're being used in Canberra against peaceful protesters who are protesting against the Australian state's crackdown or mandates on the vaccine and COVID. So the story is actually at Rebel News. Police confirm use of controversial LRAD device at Canberra protest. This device has been the subject of wild claims, but what actually is it and how is it used in Canberra? And there you actually see the image of the LRAD device as it's aimed at protesters. What started out at the beginning of the week as the stuff of conspiracy theories was actually confirmed by police. Australian Capital Territory Policing admitted that they did use a long-range acoustic device, also known as LRAD, during the Canberra Convoy Freedom rallies outside Parliament House. A number of wild theories have emerged about how the LRAD device was used in Canberra and claims of injury, but the actual effects are well documented. Reports are still coming in on various injuries at the protest, most relating to what looks like sunburn and heat stroke. There are also clear allergic reactions from what some speculate might be contact with chemicals. The LRAD device has two modes. One setting turns it into a crowd control tool, also referred to as a sound cannon, acoustic hailing device, or sonic weapon. And the other mode, which is what was used in Canberra, makes the LRAD a loudspeaker or amplification device that can relay messages to the crowd. And so the police released a statement to Epoch Times confirming that, quote, ACT policing has deployed several types of loudspeakers and amplification devices to quickly and effectively convey voice messages to large and often loud crowds of people during the recent protests activity in Canberra. Malcolm Roberts' office was inundated with complaints from protesters all week wanting to know what happened to them during the rally, prompting him to pass on these public concerns. And here we see some of the evidence where it looks like this woman has been either sunburned or, so her face is incredibly swollen. It's almost like, when you see someone who's allergic to bees be stung by a bee and their whole face swells up to where she can almost not open her eyes. And this was at 9 p.m., 2 days after Canberra. So the lingering effects of this acoustic weapon. There's also in this thread by Kathy Fox blog on Twitter at Kathy Fox. They have a EMF reader, an electric magnetic field reader there at the event measuring the effects of this LRAD device. And they actually have the images of the people they call the criminals using torture weapons on Australians. The frequencies these weapons give out are similar to microwaves, and it is basically microwave weapons that were first deployed by Germany in World War II that can be so effectively wielded by an unpopular government to destroy their dissidents. And it's been admitted now, they did use this. They are now expanding their arsenal to a truly futuristic and dystopian arsenal of robot dogs, acoustic weapons, chemical weapons, drugging, lawfare. I mean, they're on full attack mode, ladies and gentlemen. It's our job to fight back and expose it all.